What's up YouTube? I'm Valentin the Mad, and this is a Gore review of Hatred. So this is a review I was really looking forward to do. I remember how I first discovered Hatred through an extremely negative article about it. After I watched that first trailer, my response was, the fuck are they talking about? This looks awesome. And really, as far as I'm concerned, Hatred is all about the two things I enjoy the most in gaming. Killing people and destroying stuff. This video will focus on the killing. So how gory is Hatred? Let's find out. I'll be reviewing every aspect of the game's gore effects, and the score will be set based on 4 categories. Body damage, environment, animations and sounds, the feel. As far as dismemberment goes, the head and the limbs can be destroyed. I must say that the pieces of destroyed heads look really bad in Hatred. Just see for yourself. As for the limbs dismemberment, what apparently happens is that they too turn into those weird looking pieces of brain or meat or whatever the hell that is. Not a good call, by all means. As for the looks on the body itself, you obviously can take a very close look at the amputations, taking the camera into account. But what you have is that arms get dismembered at the shoulder and legs get dismembered at the pelvis. And there is some blood splatter on the body. The issue is that you can't really see the dismemberment very well, and the best indication is the blood spray effect that you see and hear. So here's my suggestion. Have the dismemberment happen at the joint in the middle of the arm or the leg, with really gory looks, similar to what we have in Red Orchestra 2 or Depth. Also, amputations should not mean insta or near insta death. I think the character should lie down, holding the half-amputated arm or leg while screaming in pain for some time, with an option for the antagonist to finish them in an execution. It would most certainly up the brutality of the game, and I don't think there is even need to make new execution animations for that. As for non-dismemberment damage, you have decals for bullet wounds and decals for stabs during the executions. Taking the top-down perspective of the camera in the game, the size and the looks of gunfire wounds are good. As for the executions, you have blood decals for the wounds you inflict on the victims. You have decals at the points where you stab them, bullet wounds for executions by gunfire, and blood splatter on the face should the antagonist crush their skull with his boot or hit them at the head with his gun. It doesn't look bad at all. However, I noticed that there is no body damage on the throat-cutting execution, and if there is, it's way too small and it is not visible. I do want to note that I have seen several people online disappointed about the length of the executions, but here is my take on that. If the antagonist would slowly pull out a leading victim's guts and use them as jump rope, while the victim, along with 5 more cops, watched that in horror, that would be brutal as hell. I would probably dig that, but it wouldn't make much sense. As I just mentioned, you will constantly be facing law enforcement resistance, so the execution length is just fine in my opinion. There are several bugs with wound decals and executions. You have issues of bodies disappearing after an execution, floating blood decals, and people surviving headshots. I usually don't mention small bugs in my Gore reviews, but they happen too frequently for me to dismiss. Hopefully they will be patched out. When it comes to fire in Hatred, you have a burned character model, and characters actually burn for a pretty long time while screaming in pain. However, for the entire time the character is on their feet, and as soon as they are done burning, they just fall ragdoll. I think that to make the process more brutal, characters should also at some point fall to the ground and wiggle in pain for some time. There are a few issues though. When you execute someone with a flamethrower, you see the animation in the cutscene, but as soon as the short cutscene ends, they are just lying motionless when they should be burning and, well, suffering. I also noticed that law enforcement members are too resistant to fire. Not a huge issue, but definitely makes fire weapons to be much less effective. As for the mess, you have blood splatter on the environment after pretty much every attack, and blood pools for dead characters. Now the looks of the stains are pretty good. The blood pools are large, The splatter looks alright, and if a character was standing with a wall behind him, the result is very brutal. The blood is actually dripping down in those stains on the walls. Most games don't have anything remotely close, and a top-down shooter has it. I was really impressed. However, there is one major issue with the splatter, and that is that the splatter is often not proportional to the blood spray effect that you see. In other words, there is just too little blood on the environment. You see those big blood puffs after gunfire, amputations, and during executions, but they all result in relatively small splatters on the environment. It's especially disappointing on the throat-cutting execution. My suggestion would be to just have more of those stains appear around the character, and maybe add a few larger stains for blood after amputations and the throat-cutting execution. Now, how is the mess in the long term? I'm happy to say that permanent blood and bodies were a priority for destructive creations. When I asked about it on their forum before the game was released, a developer stated that they hate to see the mess disappear in video games, so all the blood and bodies stay in the game. As for the animations, you have response animations for damage, an incapacitated state for characters, and death animations merged with ragdoll effects. The response animations are pretty good and even look a bit dramatic, which is a good thing. After a few bullets, the character may drop to an incapacitated state, in which they will be lying in agony on the ground for about 10 seconds while bleeding out. That incapacitated state looks very good and very brutal, but I do think that it should be longer. And this is where balance issues appear. You execute wounded characters to refill your health, and if each one would bleed out for 2 minutes, the game would be way too easy. My suggestion would be to randomize that, so a bleeder would die after 10 seconds, but someone else could take 30 or 40 seconds to die. Obviously, the second type should be more rare than the first one, but it definitely should have a possibility to happen. There is another issue when a character takes a bullet but doesn't go down. They will shrug the bullet off and keep running like nothing happened. You could say that adrenaline got him to keep going, but that stuff shouldn't last forever. Here are my suggestions. He takes a bullet and keeps running for 5 more seconds. Then he collapses, and after lying down for 20 or 30 seconds, he gets up and tries to limp somewhere safe. A different character might not even collapse, just go straight into limping mode after the first bullet. That kind of stuff do the difference between a game that is better than most and the game that will drop my jaw. The issue I just mentioned is connected to something that I really disliked about Hatred: the amount of damage that SWAT and military characters can take before they die. It's about 5 M16 rounds to bring down a character who is wearing armor. And as you guessed, the 4 shots that don't kill or incapacitate them will only cause a "fuck, I'm taking fire" animation, and right when that ends, they will keep shooting at you like nothing happened. So while surviving 4 bullets won't give a character the title of a frustrating bullet sponge, I do think that a slower wounded state as a response to non-fatal hits is necessary if you want to make fights with such characters to be fun. When it comes to the sound aspect, Hatred is exceptionally good. Characters scream on pain and on death, the attacks on executions sound awesome, and the antagonist drops corny one-liners after he kills people. The executions sound absolutely great. Each attack sounds very brutal. You hear the cut, the blood spilling, and the moans of the character you are killing. And the character sounds are awesome as well. Literally everything is as good as I expect it to be. The screams, the moans, the comments of people who realize that a psychotic killer is having a killing spree in their neighborhood. You can argue whether the antagonist's lines are good or not, but I haven't seen the sound aspect done this well since I reviewed Chivalry Medieval Warfare. So how does it feel? Pretty good. Even though Hatred is far from being the goriest game I reviewed in the series, there is attention put into every single aspect of the gore system, and really, you will be seeing very decent response on every hit you make, which is the base of any good gore system. Personally, I take Hatred's gore over a game that has 10 amazing looking dismemberment variations, but fails on almost everything else. So the score for body damage is 10 out of 30. The score for environment is 19 out of 30. The score for animations and sounds is 22 out of 30. I give the feel a score of 6 out of 10. So this gives Hatred's gore system a total score of 57 out of 100. I describe Hatred's gore as basic but solid. There is a lot of room for improvement in almost everything, but not a single aspect was neglected as you have it in many other games. The biggest problems in Hatred's gore system are the SWAT and military characters and the proportion issues between the blood spray and splatter on the environment. But other than that, it's not bad at all. Keep in mind that the game will keep getting patched and some of the issues I talked about may be fixed over time. If there will be major improvements to the gore in the game, I will post an update video. Hope you enjoyed watching the review. Let me know how you feel in the comment section, and if you liked the video, subscribe and share it with your friends. You can find the link to all of my Gore reviews in the video description. Until next time.